The fourth Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie should be in the style of Logan, a one last mission before the mantle is definitively passed on to Miles Morales.
I like the sound of that.
Peter Parker is in his late 40s, early 50s. Peter's married to MJ with a 10-year-old kid named Annie May. He has aches and pains from years of being Spider-Man. And don't even get me started on how his back feels.
My back!
The movie opens with Spider-Man battling Rhino, who he only just defeats. Crime is at an all-time low, so a discussion between Peter and MJ is had about the possibility of hanging up the suit. This is something Peter seriously considers. Meanwhile, at Ravencroft Prison are dozens of villains that Spider-Man has defeated over the years. Rhino tells the others that Spider-Man's in a weakened state and this could be their opportunity to end the Wallcrawler. But how are they going to escape? Rhino says that he was tasked with capturing Spider-Man and bringing him to Curt Connors. In this universe, Dr. Connors will play the role of the Jackal. The reason why Miles Warren wouldn't be the Jackal is because then there'd be two prominent characters named Miles. That could make things a little confusing. Curt visits the villains in prison and says that he'll help them escape if they agree to capture Spider-Man. The villains want to destroy Spider-Man, but Dr. Connors says that they can do that once he's finished experimenting on him. Curt wants Spider-Man's blood so he can replicate the formula and sell the superpowered serum for a lucrative price. Over the years, he's tried to replicate the spider that bit Peter. After many failed attempts, he's resorted to needing Spider-Man's blood. The motive for this is that Curt Connors is passionate about evolving people. He himself was able to regrow his arm but turned into the lizard. Now he wants a power without the side effects.
Tell me more.
So the villains agree to capture Spider-Man. This leads to an epic mass breakout. There is chaos across the city. Spider-Man tries to stop them, but because of his weakened state and the number of villains, leads to his capture. This is seen by Miles Morales, who follows them to a facility. Miles hears Curt Connors calling Peter by his name. Curt knows who Peter is because he put the clues together when investigating the Venom symbiote, a secret that Curt has kept from the other villains. But that doesn't change Curt's motive. So he takes some of Peter's blood. Miles is discreetly watching when he turns the power off so that Peter can escape from his containment. In the chaos, Peter breaks the vials of blood, spilling onto the spiders that were being tested on. The spiders crawl away, with one biting Miles. Peter is able to get away, but then his spidey sense goes off, realizing that there's another person around. He finds Miles and realizes that he now has powers too. Peter's intention is to train the kid to be the new Spider-Man, but Miles doesn't want the mantle. However, on his way home, Miles sees all the chaos across the city. There's wreckage everywhere because there's not enough police to stop it all. Miles is in a position where he could have saved his dad's police partner, but due to his lack of skill with the new power, he failed. Miles doesn't want his dad to suffer the same fate, so he agrees to be trained by Peter. Peter is tough on Miles because he really wants him to succeed. He thought when all the villains were in prison, the city would be a better place, but he now knows that there will always be danger.
Danger is my middle name.
I thought it was Leslie.
Because all the villains are out in the city, Peter trains Miles by first getting him to take care of the easier ones. As he gets better with his powers, they work together to send the tougher ones back to prison. As the villains get tougher, Miles gets better, but Peter gets weaker. This all culminates to 6 villains left. Or the 6 baddies as they're most commonly referred to. One of those villains is Curt Connors, who's brought his lizard persona back so he can finally get Spider-Man's blood. The lizard has muddled Curt's brain, so now he has no interest of keeping Peter alive. The blood is all he wants, so he gives the Sinister Six permission to do whatever they need to ensure that happens. This includes capturing MJ and Annie May to ensure that Peter shows up and not just Miles. In the epic battle, there's a moment where Annie May saves her mum with a spiderweb. This is the first time that MJ and Peter learn that she's inherited her father's power.
You have powers!
Peter and Miles are making their way through the villains, but then Peter is struck with a vital blow. Miles is able to finish the task before rushing to Peter's side.
How does it end?
Peter is dying with MJ, his daughter, and Miles by his side, but Peter can now rest easy knowing that MJ, Annie May, and New York will be safe with Miles Morales as Spider-Man. In the post-credit scene, Miles Morales is sucked into the multiverse, ready to appear in Avengers Secret Wars. Tom Holland's Spider-Man will team up with Miles Morales in his 5th Spider-Man movie. Anyway, let me know what time you want me to come in, Marvel and Sony, so we can discuss this further.
I look forward to working with you.
A 4th Tobey Maguire movie was planned and had a release date slated for May 6, 2011. Development on the movie began a year after Spider-Man 3 in 2008, with the director of the previous 3 movies, Sam Raimi, attached to once again direct. Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and Bryce Dallas Howard's Gwen Stacy were all set to return. The movie was going to open with a montage of Spider-Man taking down a bunch of C-list villains, including Prowler, Rhino, Shocker, and Mysterio, played by Bruce Campbell, paying off the idea that his character in the previous movies were all the same character. Both Kraven the Hunter and Lizard were considered to be the main villain of the movie, before eventually settling on Vulture, with John Malkovich cast in the role. The villain was to fight Spider-Man early on in the movie, before dying and having his daughter, Felicia Hardy, played by Anne Hathaway, take up the mantle. Instead of Felicia Hardy becoming the Black Cat like in the comics, she would instead be the Vultress. Spider-Man himself was also set to have a slightly different suit, with one of the ideas making it look convincingly more homemade. Outside of those ideas, little else was known about the plot of the movie, but the film was well into development, with a significant amount of concept art already drawn.
This is something else.
Spider-Man 3 had an estimated budget of between $250 and $300 million before marketing, making it one of the most expensive movies ever made. However, Spider-Man 4 was expected to cost even more, with the directors' and actors' salaries going up. There was a rumor that in order to save money, Kirsten Dunst would be written out of the movie and have Gwen Stacy or Felicia Hardy take the role of Peter Parker / Spider-Man's love interest. Apparently, director Sam Raimi pushed Sony to have Kirsten return, plus more creative control over the film after being forced to put Venom in Spider-Man 3 when he had no interest in doing so. Sam also wanted to finally pay off the Kurt Connors cameos from the previous 2 Spider-Man films by having Dylan Baker return to play the Lizard. However, Sony wanted a villain with a face that would be able to express emotions better, which, if true, is ironic, seeing as though the film that replaced Spider-Man 4, The Amazing Spider-Man, had Lizard as the main villain. James Vanderbilt, who had just written Zodiac, was hired to not only write Spider-Man 4, but also the 5th and 6th movies. Robots and Inkheart writer David Lindsay Abair was hired to rewrite the script. Pleasantville and later Hunger Games screenwriter Gary Ross came in for another rewrite, before Spider-Man 2 and 3 co-writer Alan Sargett was brought on for yet another rewrite. Raimi was struggling to connect with the scripts and told Sony that he wouldn't be able to meet the release date's deadline, leading to Sam parting ways with the project. A year before Spider-Man 4 was set to be released, Sony made the decision not to move forward with the project at all, instead rebooting with The Amazing Spider-Man, which came to theaters a year after the original Spider-Man 4 date. The quick turnaround was due to the reboot script being written on the side as a backup plan in case Sam Raimi dropped out or the budget got too high. Despite all this behind-the-scenes chaos, Sam Raimi was quoted as saying, "It really was one of the most amicable and undramatic of breakups. It was simply that we had a deadline and I couldn't get the story to work on the level that I wanted it to work. I was very unhappy with Spider-Man 3 and wanted to make Spider-Man 4 to end on a very high note. The best Spider-Man of them all. But I couldn't get the script together in time due to my own failings and said to Sony, I don't want to make a movie less than great. So I think we shouldn't make this picture. Go ahead with your reboot, which you've been planning anyway." Sony co-chair Amy Pascal thanked Sam for not wasting the studio's money and appreciated his honesty. Because of the mutual respect between both parties, Raimi and Sony separated on good terms.
That's really nice of you. Wow, that's such a nice thought.
Hey, have you ever wondered what it would sound like if the Marvel Universe sung the Spider-Man theme song?
No.
Well, here it is anyway.
Spider-Man!
Spider-Man?
Does
Whatever.
spins
Web.
any
Size.
catches these
Just
Like,
Look out!
Spider-Man?
Is he?
strong.
Listen, bud. He's got radioactive
Blood.
take overhead.
Hey there.
That goes.
In the
Chill.
Of
Night.
the scene.
Of
Right.
street.
He arrives
just
in time.
Spider-Man!
Friendly
neighborhood
Spider-Man.
Well,
And fame. He's ignored.
action.
His
Reward.
Him.
Like
Big Bang.
Ever.
Hang up. They love me.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to absolutely obliterate that like, subscribe, and share buttons. I'm just kidding. Only do it with enough force that it registers. I don't want any of you breaking whatever device you're watching this on. Let me know in the comments if you prefer mine or the cancelled version of Tobey Maguire's 4th Spider-Man movie.